Corey Mace or Jason Maas, which head coach has the leg up going into the Grey Cup? Hey everyone, Rob Wong, pleased to be joined once again by Regina Leader Post sports columnist Darrell Davis and Regina Leader Post sports editor Taylor Shire, who is in Winnipeg for this weekend's Grey Cup. And guys, a lot of focus heading into this one on the head coaches, Saskatchewan's Corey Mace and Montreal's Jason Maas. Darrell, you wrote about it the other day. How do these two coaches differ with regards to their personalities and styles, and how do you think that translates into how their teams go about things on the field?
I think they both have a lot of similarities off the field, Rob. The way that they respect their players, the way that they build the team philosophy. On the field, I think that's where you really notice the difference. Corey Mace, when you watch him on the sidelines, he seems to be pensive. He's very, very calm. Jason Maas, when he first coached at Edmonton, he was crazy on the sidelines, like bopping around Gatorade barrels and everything. But he realized that wasn't the best way to coach a football team. He's really calmed himself down. And when you watch him now, he still yells a little bit. He's fiery. The Leopards don't change their spots completely, but he has changed. So it's interesting to watch the two different demeanors of the two head coaches.
Yeah, Jason certainly is more animated. Corey is more calm. I don't know if Jason Maas does it anymore, but like Darrell said, throws around Gatorade, or has thrown around Gatorade. And Corey Mace is quite the opposite. He stiff arms the Gatorade away when the team tries to dump it on him after they secured first place. He wants nothing to do with those Gatorade showers. Although Sunday, I imagine he would take one. He would accept it. He's not going to love it, but he would accept it and appreciate it and whatnot. But again, while they might be animated different, exactly what Darrell said, they both have a massive amount of respect for their players, and they don't make it about them. In talking with them, they just sort of exude positivity and say good things about their players. They're both harsh in a sense, where they will also tell you the negatives that certain players need to work on or whatnot. But I just think both guys are leaders, and they're in the reason, or in this game for a reason, and also nominated for Coach of the Year for a reason, because they're good leaders.
Yeah, who hasn't wanted to throw around a Gatorade bottle every once in a while in the heat of a sports battle? Taylor, so Corey Mace, has this team in the Grey Cup in just his second year at the helm. When you think back to when he first arrived in Saskatchewan with the Riders, how do you think he's evolved as a head coach from that time to now, in your eyes?
I just think everything has I imagine that this was the plan. I think when Corey Mace was brought in, again, he was that leader. He was charismatic. He had people jumping on his ship right away. But it sometimes takes time to get adjusted to everybody, get the culture built and everything. And they talked about the building blocks that they set last year. And sure, they made it to the West Final and almost made it to the Grey Cup, which I think that might have surprised people. But then when you enter year two, this was the expectation. Inside the locker room, outside, in the media, we expected the Roughriders to be in the Grey Cup this season based on what they had accomplished last year, what Corey Mace had built, who they retained, all the people they say, I'm coming to Saskatchewan because of Corey Mace, right? And that's going to continue on as long as he's here, in my opinion, because he is that leader, and people will follow a leader like that.
He's done what Jason Maas did too, that self-assessment, right? Good coaches do that. And it doesn't mean they've changed. It just means they've changed how they react. The way that Jason Maas has changed on the sidelines, Corey Mace has been like this since day one. So they're consistent in the way they treat people. And I think that's the important thing, guys, that they are, as Taylor said, honest with their players, honest with everybody in the organization, and really honest with themselves. Corey Mace hasn't changed one iota in that respect, but he's a better coach this year than he was last year, because in the offseason, he met with the other coordinators and decided, I wasn't great on strategy, so what should we work on? Let's put ourselves in all these situations and work on that. And I think he's better on the sidelines now, much better this year than last year, although he did make that weird call in the West Final, which kind of went against character, didn't it, Taylor?
And he still said, though, that was the right call. It's not like that moment was too big for him where he decided to kick the field goal. That was what he wanted to do.
Yep.
It was a gutsy call. We didn't necessarily agree with it. Looking back, I sort of understand it now. But it was one of those calls. I don't think the moment was too big. I think that's what he thought, versus not calling a timeout with 30 seconds left and the times right when you have those timeouts. Those are more coaching blunders that you learn, that we've seen young coaches do. I think he's made all the calls that he's wanted to make with help.
Well, if it works, it's always the right call, I guess.
Isn't
in
that
a
true?
case like
Hindsight's
that.
always perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Lastly, Darrell, we spoke the other day about the first-timers in this Grey Cup and how it may or may not affect them, as Taylor pointed out. Once you get things going, it does end up being a football game after all. But Jason Maas is the one head coach here between the two with a Grey Cup in that position. It's always a step up going from a positional coach to a coordinator to being the top guy. Does that give him an edge at all going into this game, or do you feel, like we spoke about yesterday, that once the things get going, it's just a football game?
Maybe a little bit of an edge just because of the situation, Rob, but not a whole lot. Corey Mace has won as an assistant coach, right? As Jason Maas had too. So they know what it takes, but they did add more onto their plates. Jason Maas still calls the offensive plays, basically, for the most part, for Montreal. So they have those divided responsibilities and a lot of things on their mind, but I think they're both capable of handling it. I think Corey Mace proved that this year. Jason Maas has proven it by winning a Grey Cup, so maybe that's just a tiny edge, but I don't think it's going to be noticeable enough on Sunday.
Yeah, to me, I think not having a Grey Cup as a head coach is irrelevant to Corey Mace. As Darrell said, he's won as a player, he's won as a defensive line coach, he's won as a coordinator. Jeremy O'Day brought him to Saskatchewan because he has championship pedigree. Just because he hasn't won one as a head coach doesn't mean he doesn't have that championship pedigree. Yeah, that's a clean slate, and sure, it would be his first win as a head coach, and Jason's second, but they both have championship pedigree, and again, they're in this position because of that.
Yeah, both of these guys have been to the top of the mountain. We'll see who is able to add to the mantle after this game on Sunday night. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Darrell Davis and Taylor Shire, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.